Commander Sarah Knox had always considered the star-dusted void of space as a realm of possibilities, a vast expanse where the fledgling wings of humanity could finally stretch to their full breadth. However, as she approached the Galactic Council's imposing starbase, a mammoth structure orbiting a pulsating quasar at the edge of the Milky Way, her usual optimism was tainted with unease. This was no routine diplomatic mission. The summons had been urgent, the message cryptic, and the tone unmistakably grave. The starbase, a sprawling network of interlocking domes and spires, shimmered against the backdrop of the quasar, its beams intermittently casting ghostly shadows through the corridors of her ship. Sarah's crew moved with quiet efficiency, a palpable tension hanging over them as they prepared to dock. The council was comprised of representatives from over 300 star systems, species of varied forms and intellect, all supposedly united in their goal to maintain peace and prosperity across the galaxies. Earth had been a relatively junior member, lacking the advanced technology and millennia of interstellar experience of older civilizations, but it had quickly become an active participant in council affairs. Why then, Sarah wondered, would such a congregation send for her with such urgency and so little explanation? As her ship docked, Sarah was greeted not by the customary committee of diplomats, but by a trio of stern-faced guards. They escorted her through the labyrinthine starbase to the council's main chamber, a vast circular room with a ceiling that simulated the night sky of the planet that each representative called home. The chamber was filled with an array of beings, from the insectoid Threkar of Threx to the ethereal glowing forms of the emissaries of SciFi. Each representative was seated at a station molded to suit their physiology, their attention focused on the central podium where the chair being, a wise old Turlock named Gorlax, presided. The meeting commenced with no preamble. Gorlax's voice, a deep rumble, echoed through the chamber. "Commander Sarah Knox, representative of Earth, you stand before this council to answer for violations most grave against the Accord of Galactic Peace, to which your planet is a signatory." The accusation was like a physical blow to Sarah, and a murmur of shock and intrigue rose from the assembled delegates. Sarah steadied herself, her mind racing. The Accord of Galactic Peace was a foundational treaty. Its articles enshrined before Earth had even achieved interstellar flight. It governed the actions of all member planets, prohibiting acts of war, the use of forbidden technologies, and the colonization of protected star zones. "I must object, Chair Being," Sarah responded, her voice steady despite the turmoil within. "Earth has always complied with the Accord. We have neither engaged in aggression nor sought to expand into restricted areas. I demand clarification of these charges." Gorlax nodded to a functionary, who activated a display showing a series of holographic images, satellite constructions on disputed moons, military exercises near sensitive borders, and transactions of banned technologies. The evidence, Sarah noted with growing dread, was compelling but entirely falsified. Someone had gone to great lengths to fabricate it. "You have until the cycle returns to make your case, Commander Knox," Gorlax declared, signaling the close of the session. As Sarah was led out, still reeling from the shock and the realization of Earth's precarious position, it became clear that this was no mere diplomatic spat. It was a full-scale effort to isolate and perhaps even sanction her home planet. The journey back to her ship was a blur. Her mind was a whirlwind of confusion and fear, not for herself, but for her planet. Earth, with all its vibrant life and chaotic beauty, was in jeopardy of being cut off from the stars. As the heavy doors of the starbase slid shut behind her, the message was clear. Earth stood alone. This betrayal by the Galactic Council was not just an attack on her planet's sovereignty, it was a declaration of war against humanity itself. The commander knew that her next steps would be crucial, not just for her survival, but for the survival of Earth itself. As Commander Sarah Knox's ship detached from the imposing structure of the Galactic Council's starbase and began its journey back to Earth, the weight of her task loomed heavily upon her. The starbase, with its countless docking bays and turrets, faded into the backdrop of stars and cosmic dust, leaving Sarah to contemplate the grim situation. The Earth was now effectively under siege. isolated by a blockade that was swiftly being implemented by the Council's enforcement fleets. These ships, advanced and formidable, were already positioning themselves in strategic orbits around Earth's solar system, threatening to cut off all interstellar travel and commerce. Back on Earth, the news of the Council's accusations and the subsequent blockade was met with a mix of outrage and disbelief. Global leaders convened in emergency sessions, while news outlets and social media buzzed with speculation and calls for action. The general populace, already wary of galactic politics, felt a renewed surge of terrestrial solidarity. People across different nations held rallies supporting their planetary government, demanding a robust response to clear their name and restore Earth's standing in the galactic community. In the United Nations' newly formed Extraterrestrial Affairs Chamber, situated under the iconic dome rebuilt in New Geneva, Switzerland, Earth's response was being shaped. Diplomats, military leaders, and experts in galactic law were brought together to form a crisis management team. Sarah, upon her return, was immediately summoned to brief this assembly. Her report was met with grim faces and clenched jaws as she detailed not only the accusations, but also the evident falsification of evidence against Earth. "We've been framed," Sarah concluded, her voice resolute amid the murmurs of the chamber. "And given the speed and coordination of the Council's response, it's clear this has been in the planning stages for a while. Someone wants us out of the picture, and they're using the Council to do it." The strategy session that followed was intense and multifaceted. Earth's military, though robust and advanced within their own solar system, was not prepared for a prolonged blockade or a potential conflict with the combined forces of the Galactic Council. Thus, the immediate consensus was on showing strength without escalating to full-scale conflict. Admiral Lucas Grant, the head of Earth's space defense, proposed a plan. "We need to make a statement, something that shows we won't be hemmed in so easily," he suggested. "I propose a surgical strike to disable the nearest blockade station. It's lightly manned but critical to their network. We take it out, and we show them we can hit back, but we're not looking to start a war." The room agreed. Such an action would serve multiple purposes: to test Earth's military capability against the Council's, to rally public support by demonstrating resolve, and perhaps most importantly, to probe the reactions of the Council to a display of Earth's defensive capabilities. Sarah was tasked with overseeing this operation. As plans were drawn and units were mobilized, she couldn't help but feel the gravity of the command. This was no longer just about defending Earth's honor. It was about securing its future as a free and sovereign world within the galaxy. As she left the chamber, her mind was filled not just with battle plans, but also with a warning that had echoed in her head since the meeting at the starbase. "Fear us." It was a message she intended to deliver clearly and decisively. Captain Marco Ramirez stood on the bridge of the stealth corvette Shadow Strike, his eyes fixed on the holographic displays that illustrated their target, a blockade station orbiting near the edge of the asteroid belt. The station, a spindly construction of sensors, communication arrays, and defensive armaments, was key to maintaining the blockade's outer perimeter. Its neutralization was crucial to demonstrating Earth's capabilities and resolve. The Shadow Strike was part of Earth's Special Operations Fleet, designed for rapid covert actions. Equipped with the latest stealth technology, the ship could approach the station undetected by standard sensors. The crew, a hand-picked team of pilots, engineers, and combat specialists, were veterans of Earth's skirmishes on Mars and beyond. They understood the stakes of their mission. Failure was not an option. As they neared the station, the tension on the bridge was palpable. Marco's orders were clear: disable the station, avoid casualties if possible, and retreat before any reinforcements could arrive. "Remember, we're not here to start a war," he reminded his crew. "We're here to end a siege." The operation commenced with the precision of a well-rehearsed play. The Shadow Strike slipped past the outer sensor grids, exploiting blind spots identified during months of intelligence gathering. Approaching the underside of the station, the ship deployed a team of Space Marines in maneuvering packs. They swiftly moved to attach electromagnetic pulse, EMP charges at critical junctures, aiming to knock out the station's power and communications temporarily. Back on Earth, Commander Sarah Knox monitored the operation from the United Defense Forces Command Center. The live feed from Shadow Strike's onboard cameras provided a window into the operation's progress. Each milestone achieved sent a ripple of restrained satisfaction through the command staff gathered around her. The explosives detonated silently in the vacuum of space, cascading a wave of energy that fried circuits and darkened the station. With the station disabled, the Marines swiftly returned to the corvette. Marco gave the order, and the Shadow Strike made its retreat just as the station's automated distress systems began to sputter back to life. The entire operation had taken less than 15 minutes. Within hours, the footage of the disabled station, floating inert and powerless, was broadcast across Earth and leaked to various interstellar networks. The message accompanying the footage was simple and direct. To the Galactic Council and all who doubt us, underestimate Earth at your own peril. The response from across Earth was a mixture of pride and renewed determination. Public support for the government's stance against the blockade surged, bolstered by the successful demonstration of Earth's military prowess. Meanwhile, Sarah knew that the real game had just begun. The Council would have to respond, and how they did would shape the next stage of this unfolding interstellar standoff. But for now, Earth had sent a clear message. It would not lie down and accept unjust persecution. The operation had not only been a warning shot, but also a beacon of hope for Earth's people, rallying them around the cause of their planet's sovereignty. The Galactic Council's response to Earth's daring move was swift and severe. Mere days after the footage of the disabled blockade station circulated throughout the galaxy, a series of mercenary ships, known to be under contract with the Council, entered the Sol system. These were not just any mercenaries. They hailed from the notorious Vraxian Coalition, a group known for their ruthlessness and effectiveness in quelling uprisings and enforcing blockades across the galactic frontier. The mercenaries launched a series of calculated strikes against Earth's outer colonies. The Moon Base, a hub for Earth's lunar mining operations, and the Martian colonies, pivotal in Earth's food and resource production, were hit hardest. These were not full-scale invasions, but strategic strikes aimed at crippling Earth's ability to sustain its economy and defense under prolonged isolation. Back on Earth, the news of these attacks sent shockwaves through the population. Civilians rallied in support of their extraterrestrial compatriots, and the attacks only served to harden public opinion against the Council. In the United Defense Forces Command Center, the mood was somber but determined. Sarah Knox stood before a room filled with military leaders and government officials, her face set in grim resolve. "We are dealing with a multi-front strategy designed to break our spirit and our capacity to resist," Sarah explained, pointing to the hollow map displaying the recent strikes. "But we will not be intimidated into submission. It's clear now that diplomacy alone won't end this blockade. We need to prepare for sustained conflict." Plans were quickly drawn up to bolster defenses on all colonial outposts, and to reposition Earth's orbital defense platforms to protect major population centers and infrastructure. Additionally, a new task force was formed, dedicated to intercepting and engaging mercenary forces before they could reach their targets. Meanwhile, Admiral Lucas Grant proposed an aggressive counter-strategy. "We've shown that we can strike their assets directly and come out on top. I suggest we take the fight to them. Let's target their supply lines and staging areas. If these mercenaries see that working for the Council against us is costlier than it's worth, they'll think twice about their contracts." Sarah considered the proposal carefully. Escalation carried significant risks. It could bring even harsher retribution or push other neutral systems to side with the Council out of fear or pressure. However, passivity could be mistaken for weakness, potentially inviting further aggression. After weighing her options, Sarah gave the go-ahead for limited counterstrikes, emphasizing the importance of precision and minimal collateral damage to avoid alienating potential allies. As Earth's forces began their preparations, Sarah reached out through back channels to other members of the Council. If there were any dissenting voices within the Council or species with grievances against the current power structure, now was the time to find them. Each strike, each defense bolstered, and each diplomatic outreach was a step towards breaking the blockade, not just with military might, but by sowing division within the Council itself. In the following weeks, Earth's new stance and resilience began to shift the narrative in the galactic community. Reports of Earth's effective defense and tactical counterstrikes started to circulate, painting them not as a rogue state to be disciplined, but as a formidable and determined member of the galactic community, unjustly oppressed. This was the pressure point Sarah hoped to exploit, using every means at her disposal to turn the tide of public and political opinion in their favor. During one of her intelligence review meetings, Commander Sarah Knox stumbled upon intriguing communications intercepted from within the Council's own networks. These were not the usual bureaucratic dispatches or military orders, but covert communications between lower-ranking members of the Council and one of its least influential but evidently sympathetic species, the Ilari. The Ilari had long been sidelined in the Council's decisions, their voices drowned out by more dominant species. Sarah saw an opportunity. She initiated secret communications with Zoran, an Ilari diplomat known for his progressive views and disenchantment with the Council's current trajectory. Through encrypted channels, they shared information and grievances. Zoran revealed that corruption within the Council was rampant, with several high-ranking officials involved in illegal arms trade, exploiting weaker civilizations, and manipulating Council policies for personal gain. Fueled by this new alliance, Sarah and Zoran crafted a plan to expose the corruption, potentially creating rifts within the Council. Zoran gathered concrete evidence, transcripts, recordings, financial transactions, that pointed directly to key figures in the Council's leadership. The risk was enormous. Exposure meant certain retribution from those implicated. Meanwhile, Sarah gathered support from Earth's leaders and other human outposts. She detailed the plan to use the information not just to defend Earth, but to advocate for broader reform within the Council. This dual approach galvanized her people, renewing hope that the conflict could lead to significant changes in how the galaxy was governed. As they prepared to leak the information, Earth's forces remained engaged in a delicate dance of aggression and defense against the Council's mercenaries. Each skirmish was a test of Earth's resolve and capabilities. Sarah ensured these conflicts were carefully managed to avoid escalation into full-scale war, which Earth would likely lose without broader support. Finally, the moment came to act on their plan. With meticulous coordination, the damning evidence of corruption was leaked to multiple media outlets across the galaxy and simultaneously broadcast across all human territories. The reaction was immediate and explosive. Several Council species, previously neutral or mildly supportive of the Council's stance against Earth, began to question their leaders. Protests erupted on multiple planets, demanding accountability and transparency. In a strategic move, Sarah also presented the evidence at an emergency session of the Earth Global Assembly, broadcast live to ensure the galaxy saw humanity standing not for conflict, but for justice and reform. This public display of defiance and righteousness provided a stark contrast to the secretive, manipulative tendencies of the corrupted Council leaders. The Council was forced to respond. The exposed members faced calls for resignation, and emergency meetings were convened to address the allegations. The political landscape of the galaxy shifted noticeably, with previously unaligned or submissive species beginning to voice their discontent and push for a restructuring of the Council's governance. Through these revelations, Earth emerged not merely as a victim of galactic politics, but as a catalyst for change, advocating for a system where no member, no matter how small or newly admitted, could be unjustly oppressed or silenced. This strategic unveiling reshaped alliances and positioned Earth as a pivotal player in the evolving galactic order, paving the way for a renegotiation of its standing within the Council. The pivotal battle at Titan, one of Saturn's moons, marked a turning point in Earth's struggle against the Galactic Council's sanctions. Following the exposure of corruption within the Council, Earth's military strategists saw an opportunity to consolidate their position while the Council was embroiled in internal disputes and the restructuring of its leadership. Admiral Lucas Grant, leading the operation from Earth's flagship, the Resolute, planned a bold maneuver. Titan, rich in hydrocarbons and essential minerals, had become a critical refueling and resupply station for the Council's enforcement fleets. By seizing control of Titan, Earth could significantly disrupt the Council's logistical capabilities and strengthen their bargaining position. As Earth's fleet approached Titan, they encountered minimal resistance. Many of the Council's ships, unsure of their leadership's legitimacy and wary of escalating conflict with Earth, withdrew or hesitated to engage. The mercenaries, however, driven by contracts and lacking political concerns, prepared to defend their position fiercely. The battle commenced with a high-stakes gambit. Earth's forces, using a combination of manned fighters and unmanned drones, launched a coordinated assault on the mercenaries' defensive positions. The fighters engaged in dogfights with mercenary ships, weaving through the debris and ice particles that orbited Titan, while drones targeted key infrastructure on the moon's surface, crippling the mercenaries' ability to resupply and communicate. On the ground, Earth's Special Forces teams, including Captain Marco Ramirez and his elite unit, infiltrated the main control hub of Titan. Their mission was to secure the facility and repurpose its communication systems to send a live feed of the battle back to Earth and other watching worlds, showcasing Earth's resolve and capability. The fighting was intense, with both sides suffering casualties. However, the tactical acumen of Earth's forces and their superior knowledge of Titan's terrain turned the tide in their favor. The mercenaries, struggling with damaged supply lines and diminishing morale, began to retreat, abandoning their posts in a disorderly withdrawal. With Titan secured, Sarah Knox addressed the galaxy from the control hub. Her speech, broadcast across countless systems, emphasized Earth's desire for peace, but readiness to defend its rights and those of any other member world suffering from the Council's unjust policies. "We seek no conquest," she declared, "but we will no longer tolerate coercion or threats. Let this victory be a message to all." The capture of Titan was not just a military victory, but also a profound symbolic win. It demonstrated Earth's capability to conduct sophisticated, decisive operations against superior numbers and hold strategic assets. Furthermore, the minimal damage to the infrastructure and swift humanitarian aid to the civilian workers on Titan showcased Earth's commitment to ethical warfare and the well-being of all galactic citizens, contrasting sharply with the mercenaries' disregard for collateral damage. In the aftermath, the Galactic Council, now under intense scrutiny and pressure to reform, had to acknowledge the shifting power dynamics. Several member species began to voice support for Earth, seeing them as champions of a fairer, more equitable galactic order. This battle not only secured a critical victory for Earth, but also significantly altered the geopolitical landscape of the galaxy, setting the stage for negotiations and a potential end to the blockade. Following the significant victory at Titan, Commander Sarah Knox recognized the opportunity to leverage Earth's new strategic advantage. As the blockade weakened and the Galactic Council grappled with internal reforms, Sarah initiated a daring plan to directly confront the leaders of the Council. With the support of her new allies within the Council, including the Alari diplomat Zoran, she aimed to broker peace and push for substantial policy changes. Sarah, along with a select team of diplomats and military advisors, embarked on a journey to the Council's main starbase, now in a state of political flux. The journey itself was fraught with risk. The starbase was still a stronghold of the old guard of the Council, many of whom were resistant to the idea of negotiating with Earth on equal terms. Upon arriving at the starbase, Sarah and her team were met with a mix of hostility and curiosity. A tense standoff ensued as they requested an audience with the remaining Council members. Meanwhile, Zoran worked behind the scenes to rally support among other member species who had also suffered under the previous regime's policies. The Council chamber, once a place of unilateral decisions and rigid hierarchy, was transformed into a forum of intense debate and negotiation. Sarah presented a compelling case, not just defending Earth's actions, but also advocating for a new framework of governance that emphasized transparency, accountability, and equitable treatment for all member species. During the negotiations, Sarah revealed the extensive network of corruption and manipulation that had led to the blockade against Earth. She detailed how the actions taken by Earth, including the recent battle at Titan, were not only in self-defense but also a demonstration of the need for significant reform within the Council. As the negotiations progressed, evidence of the corruption Sarah exposed was corroborated by testimonials from other oppressed member species. The mood in the chamber shifted from skepticism to acknowledgement of the need for change. The old guard was increasingly isolated as more members of the council recognized the necessity of reform to prevent future abuses of power. The breakthrough came when Sarah proposed the creation of a new oversight body within the council, composed of representatives from all member species, tasked with ensuring the integrity of the council's decisions and operations. She suggested regular audits, open sessions, and a rotating chairmanship to prevent any one species from dominating the council's agenda. After intense deliberation, the council voted overwhelmingly in favor of Sarah's proposals. The resolution not only ended the blockade against Earth, but also set the groundwork for a more democratic and just galactic council. With the blockade lifted and Earth's sovereignty acknowledged, Sarah returned home, hailed as a visionary peacemaker. Her leadership had not only averted a potential galactic war, but it also laid the foundation for a new era of galactic cooperation and peace. The Council, once a symbol of oppression and unilateral power, began evolving into a truly representative and democratic institution, much to the benefit of all its member species. Through strategic diplomacy and unwavering resolve, Earth had changed the dynamics of the galaxy, proving that even a relatively young and less technologically advanced planet could influence the cosmic order and advocate for justice on a galactic scale. With the blockade lifted and Earth standing within the Galactic Council fully restored, the repercussions of Sarah Knox's diplomatic victory rippled across the galaxy. Earth had emerged not only unscathed, but as a newfound beacon of resilience and justice. This newfound status brought both opportunities and responsibilities, compelling Earth to lead in fostering a new era of interstellar cooperation and peace. Sarah, now regarded as a hero both at home and among many civilizations across the galaxy, spearheaded the creation of the Galactic Coalition for Peace and Equity, an alliance formed in the wake of the Council's restructuring. This coalition aimed to ensure that the reforms Sarah had championed would be implemented, and that no member species would dominate others. It also worked to integrate technologies and cultures, promoting understanding and cooperation among the diverse species of the galaxy. Under her leadership, Earth hosted the inaugural summit of this coalition on its own soil, a symbolic gesture that showcased Earth's commitment to galactic unity. Delegates from numerous star systems, some of whom had viewed Earth with suspicion or outright hostility, arrived to participate in workshops, forums, and negotiations that covered everything from trade agreements and mutual defense pacts to environmental conservation and cultural exchanges. The summit was a melting pot of ideas and aspirations. One of the key achievements was the establishment of an interstellar trade charter that facilitated the exchange of goods, technology, and services across planetary borders, without the exploitative practices that had previously enriched only the most powerful members of the Council. Another significant outcome was the creation of a unified galactic defense force, pooling resources and knowledge to protect member planets from external threats, such as rogue mercenaries or asteroid impacts, ensuring that smaller or less technologically advanced planets received equal protection. Sarah's efforts also focused on addressing historical grievances, advocating for reparations or mediation where conflicts had arisen from past injustices. This not only helped heal old wounds, but also prevented future conflicts, solidifying the coalition's role as a stabilizing force in the galaxy. Moreover, Earth became a hub for cultural exchange, with the establishment of the Galactic Cultural Initiative, which included programs like student and scientist exchanges, art and music festivals, and shared digital archives. This initiative was crucial in demystifying other species and promoting a sense of shared galactic identity and heritage. Throughout this transformative period, Sarah remained a pivotal figure. Her leadership style, characterized by open dialogue and inclusiveness, inspired a new generation of leaders both on Earth and across the galaxy. Her story was taught in schools as an example of how diplomacy, courage, and vision could change the course of history, not just for one's own planet, but for the entire galaxy. As Earth continued to grow in influence and as a center of innovation and culture, the mantra "Fear Us," that had once been a defiant challenge during Earth's isolation, evolved into "Join Us," an invitation to be part of a thriving, diverse, and cooperative interstellar community. This phrase encapsulated the new spirit of an interconnected galaxy where fear was replaced by mutual respect and shared aspirations for a prosperous future. As Earth thrived under its newfound influence and status within the galaxy, Commander Sarah Knox, now promoted to general and serving as Earth's representative to the Galactic Council, kept a vigilant watch over the evolving political landscape. The reforms she had initiated were taking root, but the galaxy remained a complex tapestry of old rivalries, emerging powers, and unresolved tensions. The final chapter of Sarah's journey began with an unexpected crisis. A rogue faction within the Vraxian coalition, dissatisfied with the peace and cooperation that diminished their status as feared mercenaries, launched a series of surprise attacks on several remote council member planets. Their aim was clear: to undermine the stability of the new galactic order and reassert their dominance. The attacks posed a significant threat, testing the resilience of the newly formed Galactic Coalition for Peace and Equity. The rogue faction hoped to exploit lingering mistrust among the member species, betting that the coalition would fracture under pressure. However, they underestimated the strength of the bonds that had been formed under Sarah's leadership. In response to the crisis, Sarah convened an emergency session of the Galactic Council, broadcast live to ensure transparency and build collective resolve among the galaxy's populations. During the session, she articulated a clear and firm response to the aggression. "We will not be intimidated or drawn back into the shadows of fear and division. Our commitment to peace and justice is unbreakable." Under her direction, the newly established Unified Galactic Defense Force sprang into action. This force, a diverse assembly of military assets from various member planets, coordinated a defense campaign that showcased their interoperability and the effectiveness of their joint training programs. Sarah's strategy emphasized restraint and precision strikes aimed at crippling the rogue faction's capability without causing unnecessary damage or loss of life. Simultaneously, diplomatic teams, including Ilari mediators, reached out to the Vraxian central government, which had officially denounced the rogue faction but had done little to stop them. Through a series of negotiations, they secured a commitment from Vrax to take stronger actions against the renegades, coupled with an agreement to allow coalition forces to operate within Vraxian territory if necessary. As the coalition forces quelled the uprisings, Sarah's presence at the forefront of the response solidified her status not only as a military leader, but also as a unifying figure in galactic politics. The crisis, while challenging, ultimately reinforced the strength and utility of the coalition, dissuading other potential aggressors and encouraging further integrations and collaborations across the galaxy. In the aftermath, Sarah initiated the Galaxy Peace Games, a multi-species sporting event designed to celebrate unity and friendly competition. The games were hosted on Earth, turning into a grand celebration of cultural diversity and cooperation that drew spectators and participants from across the galaxy. Reflecting on her journey as she watched the inaugural games, Sarah felt a profound sense of accomplishment. What had started as a desperate fight for Earth's survival had blossomed into a movement that reshaped the galaxy's political landscape. Under her leadership, fear had turned into respect, adversaries into allies, and Earth had truly become a linchpin in the pursuit of a harmonious galactic community. The legacy of her leadership, marked by courage, diplomacy, and visionary policy-making, would influence generations to come, ensuring that the galaxy remained a place of peace and shared prosperity. As the galaxy settled into a period of unprecedented peace and collaboration, General Sarah Knox reflected on the journey that had transformed not only Earth's destiny, but also the structure of interstellar relations. The legacy of Earth's defiance and subsequent leadership was now deeply woven into the fabric of galactic politics, serving as a testament to the power of resilience and ethical leadership. With the Galaxy Peace Games drawing to a close, Sarah stood before a diverse assembly of beings from hundreds of star systems. The closing ceremony was more than a mere formality. It symbolized the unity and shared future of the galaxy. Addressing the crowd, Sarah's words resonated across the myriad cultures and species present. Today, We stand together not as separate species divided by vast expanses of space, but as a united community with common goals and aspirations. Our journey has been long, marked by challenges and triumphs, but each step has brought us closer. Let us continue to build on the foundations of peace, understanding, and cooperation that we have established. Let us remember that our strength lies not in our weapons, but in our unity. Her speech was met with thunderous applause, echoing the collective sentiment of hope and determination. As the applause faded, leaders from various planets approached her, each expressing their gratitude and affirming their commitment to the principles of the Galactic Coalition for Peace and Equity. In the days that followed, Sarah oversaw the signing of the Titan Accords, a series of agreements and treaties ratified by the Galactic Council and its members. These accords expanded on the original reforms, establishing protocols for crisis response, mutual defense, and economic cooperation. They also laid the groundwork for a galactic environmental protection agency tasked with safeguarding habitable planets and managing the responsible exploitation of natural resources. Back on Earth, as Sarah prepared to step down from her official duties, she took one last walk through the halls of the United Defense Force headquarters. The walls, adorned with flags and emblems from countless worlds, were a constant reminder of Earth's journey from isolation to the heart of galactic affairs. Her successor, a young but capable leader trained under her guidance, was ready to take over and face new challenges. Retirement for Sarah was not an end, but a new beginning. She planned to spend her time advocating for education and integration programs that fostered interstellar understanding and cooperation. Her memoirs, eagerly anticipated, were set to provide an inside look at her diplomatic strategies and the critical moments of her career. Years later, at a galaxy-wide conference held to celebrate a decade of peace, a statue of Sarah was unveiled at the Galactic Council's headquarters. The inscription beneath it read, "Fear us, but join us." The words once broadcasted as a warning, now a motto advocating unity and strength through diversity. As Sarah watched the unveiling from her home on Earth, surrounded by her family and friends, she felt a deep satisfaction. Her actions, born out of necessity but carried forward by belief in justice and cooperation, had indeed reshaped the galaxy. Earth and its inhabitants continued to thrive under the principles she had fought so hard to establish, a beacon of hope and a testament to the enduring power of unity.